Good morning, everyone, and welcome to CIO Gurukul 22nd CIO and Leader Conference. My name is Sachin Mashilkar, Executive Director of B2B Tech 9.9 Group, your host for the session. We appreciate you joining us from your busy schedule today, and hence we are going to make your presence rewarding. The sessions today won't just enrich your knowledge curve, but will let you win lots of exciting prizes. A warm welcome again on behalf of CIO and Leader and Denodo. I would like to now invite our speaker, Mr. Ravi Shankar. A little introduction about Ravi. Ravi Shankar is the Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer at Denodo. He is responsible for Denodo's global marketing efforts, including product marketing, demand generation, field marketing communications, social marketing, customer advocacy, partner marketing, branding, and solutions marketing. Ravi has more than 2 decades of experience in marketing leadership and product management and has prior worked with software leaders such as Oracle, Informatica, and Cyperion. Ravi holds an MBA from the Haas School of Business at the University of California, Berkeley, and an MS and honors of BS degree in computer science. He is published author and a frequent speaker on data management and governance. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome Mr. Ravi Shankar to kick off the conversation on core foundation of modern data management strategies. Over to you, Ravi.
Hello, my name is Ravi Shankar. I'm the Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer for Denodo. Today, I'll be presenting on a very important topic, the logical data fabric as a core foundation of modern data strategy. If you look at today's technology landscape, it looks something like this. Multiple systems, data duplicated across multiple different locations in different formats and in different latencies. And business wants to be agile. They want to move very fast, but the technology holds back because of this kind of an architecture, that there are a lot of point-to-point connections, and many of them are brittle whenever any changes are made either to the systems or to the data. So this is not sustainable and will not provide the agility that the business needs. So the technology needs to be more agile going into the future, and that should be the focus of your future data strategy. So what is a data fabric? A data fabric is actually provided by Gartner as the #3 trend in the current year for accelerating change. As the business wants to make changes very quickly, the technology supported by data fabric will provide you the foundation for you to be very agile in responding to the business needs. Now let's jump a little bit deeper into the data fabric definition. So the data fabric Gartner defines as an architecture that automates the design, integration, and deployment of the data objects regardless of the deployment platforms. And it is supported by using artificial intelligence and machine learning over the metadata assets, and it provides actionable insights and recommendations on the data management and the integration design. So why do a data fabric? It is basically to provide faster, informed, and completely automated data access and sharing. So that is Gartner's definition. And here is a pictorial representation of their definition. So you see the underlying systems where the data is coming across from multiple different locations, over the database systems, over analytical architectures, data lakes, cloud data stores, and even your local repositories as well. The data fabric, think of it as a net that actually goes across these disparate sources and pulls in the data and provides a unified view, and that is provided by subject areas, customers, products, claims, products, and so on. And in these cases, you can understand the relationship of the customers using products, or customers filing claims, or how the components make up the products. So the fabric provides that unified view across all these disparate sources. Now, Gartner is not the only analyst that talks about the data fabric. Forrester also has been talking about the data fabric. They call it the enterprise data fabric. And in fact, they did a wave back in 2020 in which my company Denodo was actually featured as a leader. And their definition is that it's a dynamically orchestrating disparate sources intelligently and securely in a self-service manner and leveraging various data platforms to deliver integrated and trusted data to support various applications, analytics, and use cases, which is very similar to what Gartner actually says. So let me actually parse it in layman terms. So The data fabric basically provides integrated data across disparate data sources. And it securely delivers this integrated view of all the different data objects. And the consumers consume this integrated data for analytical purposes or for operational purposes. And this entire process is automated using artificial intelligence and machine learning. So that's basically what the data fabric actually provides. Now, there are two variations to the data fabric, a physical versus a logical data fabric. So let's take a big look into what the differences are. Now, here is another representation from Gartner in terms of what the data fabric looks like. So focus on this as three layers. You have the data sources at the bottom, then you have the data fabric in the middle, and then you have data consumers at the top. And in between, in the data fabric, there are 5 capabilities: augmented data catalog, there is a knowledge graph with enriched semantics, and active metadata, insights and automation, and also the data integration and the orchestration layer, which make up the data fabric. Now, Forrester also has a similar diagram. It's a little bit more evolved than what the Gartner one provides. And here again, there are similarly 5 layers here. Here you have the data ingestion layer, then the data processing and persistence layer, the data orchestration layer, discovery, and the global data access. And you have in each of these, you can see AI/ML as being in each part of those, because the whole idea is the automation of each of these steps to get to the final part. Now, this is what I call as a physical data fabric, because you see the blue box, it has a persistence layer in there, where the data is actually persisted into a data lake or a data warehouse or a Hadoop kind of system. Now, if you take that persistence out, then it becomes a logical data fabric. So the question is, and the logical data fabric provides many more benefits than a physical data fabric, as we will see. So how do you actually make the data fabric work in a logical fashion without the repository? So let's dig a little bit deeper to understand how the logical data fabric actually works. So the logical data fabric is similar to the 3-tier architecture that I showed for the Gartner. And that middle layer is the logical data fabric layer, supported by data virtualization technology. So data virtualization is a very core component of the data fabric, and provides these 6, I would say, critical capabilities. The number one is data abstraction. It comes in as an intermediary layer, decoupling the underlying data sources from the business consumers. So the consumers go to that middle layer and ask for the data, and that data virtualization layer in turn figures out where the data resides. It could be on premises, it could be in the cloud, it could be structured, unstructured data, it could be data at rest, data at motion, it doesn't matter. It brings all that data together in a unified fashion and provides that data in real time to the business users. And it does so without replicating the data. That is the second point. So it does not have a repository. So whenever the data is requested in real time, it goes down to the sources and it brings it up. And that's basically what the third one actually says, that all the data movement is happening in real time without any latency inhibition, and it's done very fast. So the data is as fresh as it is in the source. Now, because this is an enterprise data layer that understands the data across the entire enterprise, it provides a catalog of all the data, where all it is resident, what type of data, what are the definitions, who accesses it, how is the relationship among them, what is the lineage, the history. It provides a rich set of information that you can actually use as a business user. And it does so by being that central layer, not only providing this unified metadata, but also the security and the governance that goes with it. It's a single place where you can lock down the security for all the underlying applications and systems. So that way you don't have to go configure in all the different places, and a single place to orchestrate enterprise-wide data governance rather than having it by the different systems. And the final one is the data delivery. Now, as business consumers, we all have different needs for the data in different formats. And this particular layer can support the multiple needs of different business users as to what types of data that they need and how and when they need it too. So that is the logical data fabric supported by data virtualization as the core. Now, if you haven't heard much about data virtualization, it's a very mature technology that has been around for the last 20 years. And you can see in this Gartner hype cycle for data management that it is at the plateau of productivity. So it has started from the incipient stages, gone to the hype, come down to the trough of disillusionment, and then it's now a very stable technology. So there are thousands of customers that are using this product. And you can see data fabric, which is a very much a new term that started in 2020, and it's kind of making its way up the hype cycle. But the data fabric supported by data virtualization is a very stable combination. Now, so the previous one was from Gartner, and this is actually from Forrester, in which they asked the question as to which of the following technologies are included in the data management plan for the next 12 months. And data virtualization is at the top, right next to the databases. And that's the knowledge of people having about the data virtualization and being able to use it within their organizations. So let's take a look at the data fabric and the data virtualization in action. Seacoast Bank is a customer in the financial services area based in Florida. They're a regional bank, but they have been growing pretty fast in that region by acquiring many other banks. So they provide like retail services, they provide mortgage services, and all those different types of services that they provide. Now, one of the challenges that Seacoast Bank had was that all the data, as you can see in the bottom green layer, was all in different sources. And to make it worse, the core system, that FIS system, which is the Financial Information Systems, that was actually hosted by a third party in the cloud. And whenever they acquired these different banks, they had to integrate all the customer information and other information so that they can cross-sell and upsell, but they were not able to do that unification to identify their common set of customers because it was a third-party provider. So they wanted to bring that into their own enterprise and have the flexibility of updating the technology whenever new acquisition is made. So they had two choices: go with the physical data fabric supported by a physical data warehouse, or go with the logical data fabric supported by data virtualization. So they chose the path of logical data fabric, and they used data virtualization to virtually integrate the data across all these different sources and create that logical data fabric with virtual data marts at the top. So each mart is nothing but a view into the data, and it supports a pretty critical function. For example, you can have risk assessment as one of them, and that is reviewed by the risk department. You could have credit verification or some background information checking. So all those things, AML, all those things could be separate boxes operated by different departments, and the data virtualization provides the data delivery in all those different ways. And from there, they use visualization tools like Tableau. SAS is their primary one application, BI application, that they use to take the data from the system and view that for business functions and make the decisions that are necessary. Now, because they went with a logical data fabric, they were able to accelerate the use of, first of all, getting the system up and running, rather than spending about 8 months standing up a physical data fabric supported by a data warehouse. They spent less than 4 months, about 50% time savings over there, and also the cost associated with that from standing up a logical data fabric supported by data virtualization. And before, in their oldest ways, whenever someone needed to make a custom report, it would take them 3 days to do it. And now with the new system being everything self-service is something that is enabled, and they were able to make the changes within a matter of 3 hours. So look at the amount of amplification they can have in terms of the number of transactions that they can do within those 3 days if a transaction takes only 3 hours. So that's the kind of benefit that a logical data fabric can basically do. So that is one example among the myriad of others. So here you see very many other customers that are using the logical data fabric and the data virtualization. They in multiple different regions, multiple different industries, and they're all large companies that are benefiting from using the logical data fabric, and so can you. So let's bring it to a close in terms of summarizing where we started and talking about the best practices to get started with the logical data fabric. So first of all, you need to determine your business requirements. The business users need agility. They need the data fast, and they need the data up to date from the sources. They're no longer willing to wait for the data to come in a day, 2, or a week later. So they need instantaneous data as the business is operating to be able to see that. So that will be a requirement for you for a logical data fabric. Decide which fabric is the best option. So you have to balance between benefits and cost. In reality, you might have a physical data fabric where you might be doing heavy transformations like moving the data into a data warehouse. But a logical data fabric provides the benefit of integrating all the data across the enterprise and provides the data much more faster and much more fresh. So, and also a data fabric enabled with the cache is a very good option because you get the benefits of both the logical data fabric as well as the physical data fabric. And the final advice is something that you have already known, is to always start small and go big. Don't try to boil the ocean. Try to define your requirements where you can have immediate success very fast, deliver on those successes, and then build upon them. So you don't have to wait to actually get access to the logical data fabric. You can try it today on the cloud. So Denodo platform, which is the data virtualization technology, it's available for free for you to use on all the 3 major cloud platforms. You just connect to them and just click and start using it on the cloud. Hopefully that was informational to you. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. It was good having you all.
Thank you, Ravi. Thanks for that insightful session. Really appreciate your time.